It's an odd thing that at least I can simply enjoy this sound of a bell. And I've met many others who do too. John O'Donohue wrote of functionalism in our third reading. And I can't help but think a little bit about that as we were trying to do the functionalist work of getting this video so it could be live on Facebook and so that we could be live on Zoom and so that things would work. And so there are functionalist things that we have to do. But as O'Donohue said, if I just go back to it, functionalism is lethal when not balanced by a sense of reverence. We are going to do functionalist things, we must. But when we lose reverence, when we lose wonder, when we lose awe, that's when we're in trouble. These last couple of weeks, I'm embarrassed to share, much of my energy has been wrapped up in a stove. We bought a stove, it didn't work right, we couldn't return it. I'm dealing with people on the phone, guy at the store. I'm getting angry, they're getting angry at me. Frustrated, all of this. I certainly did not maintain at the level that I would like my sense of reverence. Last night I had an opportunity to go to a movie with our youngest son. He's 16 years old now. And the movie we saw came out in 1980. And the last time I saw it was that year. I remember that I went to the theater and saw it. So I was either 17 or 18 years old. And I haven't seen it since. 43 years ago. So I was this teenager in high school or just starting college watching this movie. And then I'm this 60-year-old man sitting next to my teenage son watching this movie. And it's new to me because I can't remember so much from 40 plus years ago. That's incredible. It's incredible that that can just happen. And I was doing the math and I thought, well, okay, pretty unlikely, but I'll put it out there. 43 years from now, I'd be glad with one of my grandchildren if we want to see the movie again. So if I'm here, we'll go and we'll watch it in 43 years in the year what will that be? 2066. Okay, so. And I love old films. Ollie and I are fans of the old Hepburn-Tracy films. And of course, Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy and almost every actor in those films, they've all died. And the camera people and the directors. Yet we can still experience it. My mom lives with us, and one of the channels that we get, they have like old Johnny Carson. So I'm watching, there's Johnny Carson and Jimmy Stewart or Jonathan Winters or Robin Williams, and I'm laughing again. And it feels kind of magical. A couple of weeks ago, we were on a Zoom call. We had some friends from Asia and family from around the country, and Ollie was so happy about it. And she said, "This is magic." And her brother, a guy who works in The computer science field said, no, Ollie, it's not magic. It's a lot of hard work. I'd like to think they're both right. Tabula rasa, blank slate. Let's go back to the mid-1800s. Let's pretend you have a mid-1800s mentality. And let's imagine that it's the mid-1800s and someone tells you you can simultaneously talk with your relative down in Florida and a friend over in Asia, and you're all going to see each other as you speak. That's crazy. Mid-1800s, and somebody says, okay, we're going to project on a screen a story. And you can watch it as a teenager, and then you can watch it 43 years later with your teenager, the same story. That makes no sense to Ulysses S. Grant. That makes no sense to Robert Lee, to Abraham Lincoln, to John Adams earlier times. That makes no sense. It's amazing. I can get in a vehicle and be on the other side of this state in a couple of hours. I can get in another kind of machine and fly above this state across to other states. Yeah, of course. I don't know how we wake up. Oh, there's Cookie making a noise. I don't know how you wake up. Cookie's sleeping. I don't know how I wake up. But I think all these sages, I think the Song of Solomon, I think John O'Donohue, I think Thich Nhat Hanh, they're telling us wake up. And of course, it's not just the technology. Not by a long shot. A few years ago, I planted tomatoes from seeds. Let's take someone who's just doesn't know anything about how things work in our world and show them this little tomato seed and say, you see this big juicy tomato? Here, I'm going to give you this. And then you can get a whole bunch of these. I'm going to give you this little hard seed. And you can get these big, fat, red, juicy things that you could bite into, and for most of us, they're going to taste pretty amazing. That's where you live. I mentioned our black walnut tree last time. Walnuts, nuts this fall, this autumn, will fall from the sky. We have in the Bible manna from heaven. Nuts full of protein, great sources of nutrients for us. Nutrients will fall from the sky and land in my backyard. It's an overcast day today. You know what people in Columbus will be saying? It's a terrible day. Rainy day. Awful day. When you get off of this call, this service, go fill a bucket full of water and pick it up and carry it around for 10 minutes. It's pretty heavy. You know what they're telling me? They're telling me that this air that won't hold my little glasses in the air, they fall right down. This air, they're telling me, is full of lots and lots and lots of buckets of water. It's amazing. It's crazy. It makes no sense. Two people meet. They fall in love, whatever that means. They look at each other as they see the wonder in each other. They see the good qualities in each other. And then let's say, if it happens to be a heterosexual couple, let's say they do this thing that we call making love. And then, purposefully or inadvertently, they create. Perhaps we might say with the help of the great sacred, with the help of God, they create another being. I mean, that's, what? Yeah, here's how it works for those of you who are from some other planet. Okay, they're going to do this, they create this other being, and then it grows inside the woman for about 9 months. All right? Yeah, like a tube connects so that the food goes through, and then the baby comes out and starts a life. This is that same place, by the way, with the tomato seeds. And those planes that fly through the air, and those movies. All of this is happening right here, right now. All of it. And we're not seeing it. People like me are getting my energy all messed up because of a freaking stove. Or a refrigerator. Or the air conditioner's not working. Or I had a little argument with my neighbor. There are people who regularly come to our church who, if they start talking to each other a certain way, they'll make all these sounds and it won't make any sense at all. To me, and to at least some of you, because I don't know Spanish. And two of our regulars are Spanish teachers. They have these sounds they make, and it will have all this meaning that I can't comprehend but a little tiny, tiny bit. And then we have these things. John O'Donoghue's not alive. Thich Nhat Hanh's not alive. These sacred stories, New Testament, 2,000 years ago, Song of Solomon, we don't know, 2,300, 3,000 years ago? 3,000 years ago? Somebody, some people write this poem. My love is like a gazelle. It's springtime. Smell the flowers. And we're hearing it right now. Weird little squiggly, wet, sticky things. No eyes. Kind of disgusting to many of us. Hundreds of them in my yard right now. Aerating that soil so those tomatoes and those black walnuts can grow. And if I put some of my stinky, awful garbage that I can't even stand the smell of, if I put it in my compost bin, and those little wigglers get in there, they eat it. And you know what they poop out? Good soil. Birds in the trees. The Song of Solomon speaks of the voice of the turtle dove. They fly. Some of them have bright colors. And they tell us that they're descendants of these other creatures that were bigger than the houses we live in. the fig tree, the vineyard, the mustard green, the tangerine, even the teapot, as Thich Nhat Hanh tells us. Sometimes I go out and I'll meditate in the yard, and if I go out early in the morning and there's dewdrops and the sun's just coming up, they look like stars. And if I move my head just a little bit, I see other stars, and those stars go out, and it's like constellations. I spoke of the stove at the beginning. Years ago, 25 years ago, I'm heating some oil up in a pan, and the sunlight comes in. And last time we talked about, the sun 93 million miles away. A ball of fire 93 million miles away. It comes in, and there are these rainbows of colors from the oil in the pan. I was alone in the kitchen. It was so beautiful. It was so absolutely beautiful. The rainbow that I saw, that I began to sob. And I talked with some friends and acquaintances who had done different drugs in their lives, and they said, yeah, that's the kind of thing that we've experienced on certain drugs. Only drug I've ever done is alcohol, so I don't know about all that. But I know about that oil in the pan. I know that my little grandchildren, 6-year-old guy, my grandson, holds Lila 9, 9-year-old girl, 2-year-old girl. I know that in 15 years, they're going to be completely different beings. And the 20-year-old, the 40-year-old, and the 60-year-old, in 25 years, we are completely different beings. Ali spoke of the breath, the ruah, that somehow we breathe this stuff in and it sustains us and helps us to grow. I know that if I eat the apple or the banana, I have this incredible taste in my mouth, and then it becomes part of my body. The birds flying were dinosaurs, and they sing beautiful songs, and the clouds are full of rain, and we can see images of the stars in the sky and the movie stars on the screen. The kingdom of God is right here, right now, and we're missing it. The shy graciousness of divine tenderness is right here. The invisible sanctuary of your lived day is right now. The secret story woven around the radiant heart of wonder. Look at the geranium. Look at your dog. Look at the sky. Look at your phone. Everything. We have big problems, wars, climate change. We have problems with our family and with our friends. We have little tiny problems with stoves and refrigerators. But if we open our eyes eyes and our hearts and our souls and our minds to what we're really in, we can begin to untangle. We can begin to see. We can begin to see that you may not have been alive in the 1950s and we weren't alive in the 1850s or in 300 BC, but part of you was there. And it's all amazing. Every bit of it. Every bit of it. The worms. The air. The trains. Birth. Creation. And you. And you. You're part of the miracle. We're in the kingdom. We are where God dwells. I invite you to enjoy the sound of the bell. And we get to hear sounds. I invite you into a place of prayer. If you're watching this on Zoom, if you're watching the recording, or you're watching it live on Facebook, you may share your prayers in the comments. You may also just raise them in your hearts. It's a chance for us to share our joys and our concerns.